So now that I have all of the exponent rules, let's put them all together in a variety of ways. Now remember, you're going to deal with this in chunks, and this thing really has 3 chunks. It has the C chunk, the D chunk, and then the whole thing being raised to the 3rd power. And I get to choose which thing I want to get rid of first. If you want to, you can get rid of the negative exponents first. Or if you want to, you can deal with the C's and then the D's and then deal with the 3rd first. Or you can use the product and quotient rule to cube everything and then deal with the fraction. Now, I personally like to simplify fractions first before I go ahead and raise anything to any power. So I'm going to take care of this thing. And I'm going to do this one chunk at a time. I'm going to take care of the C's first. And so using the quotient rule, I have C cubed minus -1, which is the same thing as C to the 4th. And so that's gone. And then I look at this chunk, I have D to the -2 minus 5, which is D to the -7. And this whole thing is cubed. And so I took care of having multiple instances of a C and multiple instances of the D. And now I'm going to simplify this thing. And once again, I get to choose. I get to get rid of the negative exponent first, or I get to cube everything first. And in this case, I'm going to choose to cube everything first. So I get C to the 12th, D to the -21, because I multiplied 3 times 4 and 3 times -7. And I'm not quite done yet because I can't have a negative exponent. And so I end up with C to the 12th over D to the 21st power. And that's this thing simplified. And if you had gone a different route, like if you had cubed everything first or dealt with the negative exponents, and if you did all those things correctly, you'd end up with the same answer because there's no addition or anything to mess up with the order of operations. It's all just kind of multiplying things out. All right, so now we get to the fun examples. And this one looks really horrible if you just, see it for a second and you don't stop and think about what's actually going on here. And what I actually did was I just put together a bunch of really tiny little problems. So I just took h to the 4th h squared, and I put it together with that problem. And I made another one that looks just like it, multiplied them together, and then squared them. And remember, just take it one chunk at a time. And it's not going to be that bad. Actually, it's not that bad. I just put together a bunch of easy little problems, and that's all you need to think of this as. This is just a bunch of easy little problems, and just knock each of them off, and then you're good. So I'm going to start with the h's over here. H to the 4th minus 2 using the quotient rule gives me h squared. That chunk's taken care of. Then I have j cubed minus 1 using the quotient rule. Oh, j to the -3rd power minus 1. I get j to the -4th. That's taken care of. And so then on this side, I get h squared minus -2, which is h to the 4th. And I get j to the 4th minus -2, which is j to the 6th. So those are all taken care of. Now this whole thing is still squared, okay? And before I square anything, I notice that I have h's and j's multiplied together, and I can combine them using the product rule. So h squared times h to the 4th is the same thing as h to the 6th, and j to the -4th, j to the 6th. Using my product rule, I add the exponents, I just get j squared. Now this whole thing is still squared. And now I'm down to that. Just h to the 6th, j squared, whole thing squared. Use my product rule, which tells me to multiply my exponents. I end up with h to the 12th, j to the 4th. And that's it. Now the only thing that I'm going to do to you that might be a little bit worse is I might change that to a division. And if I were to change that to a division, you have to remember the definition of division says multiply by the reciprocal. So you'd have to reciprocalize the second fraction. Or I might put another set of parentheses in there. Either way, when you come to class, I'm going to be giving you some easy problems, some medium problems, and a couple of these types of problems where I want to see if you can figure out a strategy to work through and simplify it all the way down, potentially having to use every single one of the exponent properties you've seen in a single problem.